We want to start off with a reminder that we are not doctors. Before you make any changes or try something new, always consult with your doctor and medical team first. Chronic illness can vary from patient to patient, so it's always best to consult with your own doctor for what is best for you.
Hello and welcome to IBD Determined. I'm your host, Mason Harvey, and I speak from the role of a patient and I have Crohn's disease.
And I'm your other host, Michelle Harvey. I am Mason's mom, and I speak in the role of a caregiver. And today's podcast is going to be, hopefully it's on a topic that might be important to you guys. I think we're tired. I think we're
Definitely.
tired. So when we're filming this, today is Father's Day. And Jason works on Father's Day. And so that's just how it is. And so we're trying to make something fun for dinner, for dessert, fit that in. He has a lot of college work. He's taking that summer class we talked about. And, we had to film a podcast. And one of the things
yesterday was actually a really fun day.
So the plan was yesterday, he had other college work to do too, but the plan was to fit in time to write the podcast for today, brainstorm some ideas, and then write it.
Along with all the other
getting his college classes done. And our power went out. Yes. And so that was very unexpected.
At like 12:30.
Yeah, it was like
12:25.
So we had decided in the morning, like, we're going to go for a run. So we went for a run, kind of took the morning a little easier because we're like, oh, the afternoon is when we'll get all the work done. I'll start the podcast and while he's doing his college work. And we had lunch and sat down to get to work. And then the power went out. And so then we went for another walk. We went back out.
Yeah, I just went for a walk.
I read Hamlet with them. That was fun because so we're like, all right, let's read this. And so did that. And then it was almost 3 hours. It was out. And so by the time I came back on, it was like
almost the entire day was gone. But
we had to work. We had other stuff to do.
We still got all the calls.
And I was working. I had an offer that had come in on a home I have listed. I had another client calling on a pre-approval that we were working on. So it was just a very busy past couple days. And so
very goofy. Supposedly a power box lit on fire. So
yeah, that was the word on Nextdoor. So if you guys have Nextdoor, so
might not be true, but
I'm not sure. But the
what else would have caused it?
Story was that there was an electrical panel or box that lit up, and then that could make sense. There were fire trucks that had blocked off. I guess I'd heard the street is shut down, which coincidentally was by my listing as well.
Oh, it's so
it was So it was just one of those. It's been one of those weekends, and we always have like different topics, things we kind of want to talk about, and so we're like, let's just visit this one. We don't have like a full script written. But it's things that are very much on our minds, and they don't have to do a lot of research on this because it's our experience. So, so this isn't like a research heavy episode. And so we're going to talk more about the unwanted mental burdens that are placed on IBD patients like Mason and caregivers, parents like me.
Yes.
And basically what I hope you get out of this is nothing in life is going to be fair. So when we say it's like, unfair, burdens, unwanted, there's a lot going on in this world with things that are not going to be fair.
And nothing is fair, so.
No. So we get that. But this is more of like you're already being dealt a chronic disease or a chronic illness, not just IBD. This can apply for many people with many type of different challenges they're facing in their health journeys. This is not meant to be like a negative podcast to focus on the negative stuff, but it's more like
to talk about it
and validate your feelings. So you
might like, I'm the only one feeling like
right.
This. No, you're not.
Which makes it's like that makes you feel guilty. Like, oh my gosh, I shouldn't be feeling this.
Annoying.
These other people are doing so well. Sometimes we're not all doing as well as we appear, and things are tough. And with a diagnosis come a lot of things that are really can become a burden to you that you didn't expect. So we're not going to be talking about the physical aspect of this
Yeah.
disease, which is a huge
Huge part of
part of the burden of, what this is. But so the physical aspect, we're not talking about today because that's a whole nother thing. And that's something that is an incredible challenge.
it. And if we did, we'd
So
be here for a few hours.
yeah, we would. And we don't have time for that today.
No.
And this is not going to be about the financial burdens. We have a whole separate podcast where we talked about
And we know
financial
those are like,
burdens. Yeah. So
because insurance is just like,
so we're not talking about, the physical burdens, the financial burdens. We're talking about the mental burdens that and kind of like what other people place on you. Let's, in one of the reasons this topic came to me was because I had read something. It was in one of the groups. And I think I told you about this. I don't know, but you'll might remember.
Familiar, we'll see.
They're saying that if someone like a person who does not have IBD felt like for 1 day or 2 days felt how like an IBD patient feels the pain, feels what you guys feel, you would call in sick because it'd be like, oh, I can't go to work today feeling
I
like
can't
this.
go to work today.
And it would be accepted.
Mhm.
And it would be okay that you stayed home and you lay down and you don't do anything. You get nothing done because you're feeling so awful.
Yeah.
When you get better, you get to go back to regular life, go back to work. But for someone with this disease,
It doesn't.
that doesn't always get better.
No.
And I mean, you can get to remission, but sometimes you have flares and you're
And
down for a
it's
long
different for
time.
everybody too,
Mhm.
because right now I'm doing
Right now you're
great.
doing
Yeah,
great.
actually,
Yeah.
on the report was I got.
Oh yeah, they did
certain-
mucosal remission. But it's a different kind of report that they're doing at his doctor's. It's really cool,
Yeah, but
actually.
that's good.
Yeah, but you're doing well.
Yeah, I'm doing well. And there's some people, I mean, I'm able to be treated with biologics. I'm on dual biologics, which is different.
And it was hard to
and it's
figure
hard to
out.
figure out.
It's not always like you find that magic
Yeah.
recipe that's going to
It
work.
takes a while to find it.
Yeah.
But even then, there's still people who can't find treatments
Mhm.
and they have to take steroids. And while steroids might be helping, they're not helping fully. And then on top of that, the steroids are adding other problems.
Yeah.
Maybe they did find a biologic that worked, but now insurance isn't paying for that.
Yeah.
And so some people just can't get better.
Right. There's
So-
multiple reasons for it. And it's not at any fault. Like that's the other thing is you can't blame the people for
No.
feeling this way. They don't want to
Not their
feel that
fault.
way.
Do they want to feel
Yeah.
like that?
And
No.
even with Mason, you have times where things are working and suddenly
It
it's
just
not.
stops. Yeah.
And
Go into the
there's for some people they know that I'm feeling good today, but I may not be feeling good tomorrow. So there's like that uncertainty. They don't have that same freedom to call in sick every day that they're feeling bad. They have to go out into the world, put on a face for the public and work, get their stuff done. And that's tough.
because you can't take a break from work every day of your life.
No. And so I think what happens in that and like in thinking about this is people see that and they think, "Oh, well you're able to work. You're able to do these things."
Mhm.
But they don't think that you have to. You
Yeah,
don't have a choice.
It's not like it's going to get better.
Right. It's not like you had the flu.
It's not like
and
you have
got
a
to
flu
stay
and you're going to
home.
go, all right, well, in a
I'm just
week,
gonna miss a
this will get
couple
better.
days.
In a week, this will
Yeah.
get better.
And yeah.
With a flare, it's like
I have no idea.
months,
Right.
a year.
And it's severe. Things could end up in surgeries. Things could end up, you could end up hospitalized. So
And if you end up hospitalized, then you're not going to be working for that amount of time. And then you're going to, when you're taking all the time off, you're going to be wishing, oh, I wish I worked so I had the money for this.
yeah.
You know?
So it's like, so my thinking is a lot of people don't realize how bad or how sick, how tired, how things really feel because they see
Mhm.
what they see and they obviously it's like you on the outside might look fine. Just like
I mean,
if you
it's
have,
kind of like the don't judge a book by its cover.
Yeah.
Thing, something like that. Just because you're at work doesn't mean you're feeling great.
kind of just made me think like maybe that's one of the reasons why this kind of stuff we're about to talk about happens
Mhm.
is because people aren't thinking of that way. So next time you're really sick, if you're just someone who doesn't have IBD and you have the luxury of healing up, getting better, and getting to go back to work,
Mhm.
just understand that just because someone is working and they have IBD, they may not
That
be
doesn't mean
feeling
they're
as well.
feeling good, you know.
Right. So be kind. Just be
Mhm.
kind, be empathetic, and
Treat everyone like they're not having a great day. You know,
Right.
just be nice, be
be right
kind.
right in their day and listen. So some of the things that I kind of came up with, and you can chime in here too, Mace. And so these are things like we said, these are kind of some of the mental burdens that are placed onto patients and caregivers, and these are unwanted. These are not things they asked for. One of the things is having to explain yourself. And we've talked about this before, but that is something that a lot of you aren't forced to explain yourselves to anybody. And with this disease, especially like as a caregiver, my experience with it is feeling like I do need to explain because usually the person talking to me doesn't understand.
They don't understand it.
And so it's not like I want to sit here and talk about this all the time,
No, but you feel like you have to.
but you feel like you do need
because
to.
you want to help someone understand,
Right.
and they may not understand what you're going through. So
And usually when you're trying to explain yourself, it turns into having to also defend yourself
Mhm.
sometimes, because then when you start to explain, like with Mason, when you're trying to explain, like, I guess one of the examples would be his treatment. A lot of people don't understand the levels of immunosuppression in this community, and they think that everything is equal. And they think when you're talking about that your immune system is suppressed, they think that you're talking about it in regards to the disease. And it's
Mhm.
like, no,
No, it's
it's the
just a
treatments. And so that's why some people are very different with going into public, and other
that's
people
why
are
some
sick all the
people
time.
that's why some people who don't take biologics, maybe they're just like, "Oh, yeah, I can go places."
Right.
But then someone who's on dual biologics, or if they're on biologics, or if they're on steroids, or if they're on
It's a whatever
it's like,
treatment.
"I can't go."
And so you start having to defend yourself because people don't understand that. And it's very unfair because you feel like I shouldn't have to explain. If I say I can't go into this public place to, at this time with what I'm taking, it's not a good idea. And people, well, so and so can, and
Mhm.
then you
It's
have to
like,
like defend yourself.
"Yeah, I know they have Crohn's disease, but are they on
Right. So
biologics?"
that's where having to defend and explain yourself all the time is really unwanted. It's not something
Right.
anybody wants to
Do
argue about.
you have to keep being reminded about what you
Mhm.
have, and it's kinda like
And also having to defend biologics even, because some
Mhm.
people are like, "Oh, you don't need that. You can
Yeah.
just change your diet." And it's
It's
like,
like
well, maybe the person you knew
Mhm.
could do that, but that's not
Yeah.
for him.
If I'm on dual
It's
biologics and I don't enjoy it, it's not like I want to get
yeah,
these
and they're
biologics,
so expensive.
and you're telling me I don't need them.
Yeah.
I think we already figured out that I do need them because diet wasn't really an option and it didn't really work.
So
So
it's one of those things where you don't wanna be combative
no,
and you don't want to have arguments
you
with
don't wanna make
people.
arguments, but it's like
No.
how
So you have to be like, "How do I defend myself? How to explain myself
without
without
getting into an argument.
getting into an argument?" So you have to find creative ways, which again is another unfair burden, is having to find creative ways to tell people about your disease. And so it's
Listen here, I'm on biologics
some
because my body didn't respond to diets.
they're just tired. They're like, "I don't wanna talk about it." And so then you have people also upset with you. We've experienced this firsthand with family, not my side. My parents have been extremely understanding, but we have experienced this where they're upset with you because they don't understand. And again, so there's that having to explain yourself again because you don't want people upset with you for why you can't go to their house at the moment.
Once again, it's not entirely their fault that they don't understand it because they don't have Crohn's disease. But at the same time, you don't have to be pushy about it, you know?
You listen.
Yeah, yeah, you
You
can
may not
listen.
understand the beginning, but if someone's willing to take the time like
Yeah,
Mason or I
listen,
and explain to you.
especially because it's annoying when you have the disease and you have to
Right.
keep explaining,
So it's like,
like, oh my God.
so if you're listening and you don't have IBD, just be someone who has an open mind and listen, because that's really, really important. Because the last thing, and especially caregivers and parents, try not to be upset with your child, your spouse, your partner, whoever it may be, a friend, because they may have to cancel on things because all of a sudden they're having issues that are going to require them to stay very close to home. And don't take it personally, and just understand that they're upset with it.
They're the ones with the disease. They obviously
Right.
did not want it.
No.
And so why should they be the ones getting blamed?
Right. And the other thing I have here, a little different topic, is having to become an insurance expert. And
Yeah. Oh
right.
wow, we love that.
And this was one of the things that we had an appointment this week for Mason with his GI. And one of the things discussed was this kind of, it's not exactly insurance, but we're on the same track. At the end of your appointment when they brought in like three sets
Three
of
sets of
different
papers,
paperwork,
yeah.
and they're showing you the ones you should keep with you in the vehicle if something happens, if you're in an accident. So
Smart.
people are aware an emergency situation for Mason. We had that. We have his whole health history and pictures of the disease, what it looks like, so that they're more educated. And then they were talking about having them start to learn how to read a medical bill. And so it's like, it feels like there's always just a lot of information. It's great. I agree with the doctors that these things need to be discussed because you have Crohn's disease. That's not
Yes.
going to change.
No,
And so
it's
they're trying to
no.
prepare you
To help your
to
future,
help your future. But it feels like, oh my gosh, one more thing to deal with. So
Mhm.
they're explaining to Mason how your medical bills are sometimes incorrect. Please read every bill before you pay the bill. And
Oh
which
my god.
we understand, but that is more work. You go through that, and then when you do find the problem, now you have to call
Yes.
and you have to deal with insurance, and then you have to deal with getting approvals. And even this week, we had a minor hiccup which caused more time, and this was another,
Yeah,
his
that yippee.
with his Stellara, they couldn't order it. We have to get it shipped here. They overnight it to us, and it's an injection. they didn't have the prescription renewal from the doctor because we do this every 4 weeks. They
Nice.
require every 4 weeks for the doctor to renew this before they will refill it. So then I have to
Oh
call
my
Rady's,
goodness.
talk to a nurse, explain everything, have them send it in, check back with the specialty pharmacy to make sure that they have it, and then they order it, they send it. There's just always things to do.
Mhm.
And
Constantly.
I feel because I feel fortunate that I've learned about this when Mason was young because I understand. And I feel like a lot of people who are diagnosed older, maybe your parents don't understand or certain family doesn't because they didn't they just they it seems easy. But
Yeah. No, it's easy, just take treatments and you'll be fine.
right, like, you just have a few doctor's appointments, but it's, like, everything that goes on behind it. That's the other
Yeah.
thing is the other one of the mental burdens.
It's so funny when they're like, "You talk to a doctor, so now you're gonna be paying a copay of, $50,
Yeah, you always
$500, 300 oh, no."
I know, but you have to learn those
Yeah.
things, and you have to learn
This is
about
fun.
insurance also, about labs and out of lab, areas, and, these are all the things that he's being educated on, and you guys may be doing this with your doctors too, I'm not sure, but they go in depth at Rady Children's with them to teach them all of this as the kids hit a certain age. I think it started at 13 and then 14, 15, as you're getting older, they're giving you more responsibilities with your healthcare because they're training you to transition to adult care is what they're doing. Becoming an insurance expert, having to make all these appointments and treatments and juggle everything along with life, it's a lot, and
Yes.
it's again, you didn't ask for that.
It's not something you asked for, and
No,
it
this is
people
like
like, "Ugh."
not fun stuff all the
And
time.
insurance is like, "So guess what? I know you didn't ask for this, but we're still gonna make it
Yeah.
hard for you,
Like
so."
every when we check the mail and Mason will be like, he sees something from the insurance, he's like, uh-oh,
Oh, great.
what's that? And it's like, ah, what's this one, But it's just one of those aspects of it that feels unfair having to deal with all this stuff. And it's a lot. And but you do get used to it and you have to do it. It's just one of those things that you need to do. And kind of something we just talked on. I had another note here. People not understanding the treatments. And this can be a multitude of ways, like we just explained, like with biologics. They might, think, oh, you don't want to be putting that stuff into your body.
No.
And then other people not understanding why you have so many. It's like, well, I saw the commercial. It's like, it just says just one simple infusion every 8 weeks. Why are you going,
4
to the
weeks.
hospital
2
every 2 weeks?
weeks.
And it's like, so a
Because
lot of people don't understand. And they also think that it's a dietary disease. And
yeah, I mean, for some, maybe,
I
but
know, but it's not for Mason.
for most people, it's usually not, but
And there are
definitely not for me.
and we've talked about that I do think this disease is not the same
No.
because the way that different people
Like
can
we
handle
said
it,
in other episodes where we think that it will be split up into separate,
categories,
categories,
good point.
because how does the same disease get treated by Remicade, which works one way, and then another one doesn't even respond to Remicade, and it responds to Entyvio, which works another
Right,
totally
another
separate
a
way,
separate way.
and they both kind of have the same sort of symptoms, but they all vary in how bad they are. Some can
Right.
be treated by diet, some can be treated by steroid,
Yeah.
and it's just and some people can't even be treated at all. Some just don't work at all. And it's
Right.
like, how does the same biologic, how is the same disease
Mhm.
able to be treated with a certain biologic, and then someone else with the same disease apparently not able to be treated with the same biologic?
But
I mean, it's
they
just
can
interesting.
say that they don't eat a certain food and it helps, and it's not only having people not understand treatments, it's the patients themselves not understanding, and the doctors not either. We understand how the
If
treatments
there's
work.
one thing to know about social media, it's that people like to be right.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
So,
Well, and I think it's important to
like,
always research.
see through this, yeah, research,
Do your
and
research.
it's okay if someone else has a different opinion.
Mhm.
Let them have it. They don't have to be exactly like you.
Well, and I
Yeah,
think we learn a lot by listening to each other's
yeah,
opinions,
you have
but it's important to listen.
to open the door
And so
to
and it's the
others.
same way with this disease and that there's understand that there's going to be different treatments and there's going to be different ways to treat this. I think like it's interesting to me that people don't understand. It's like even the doctors, it's like, well, we're going to try this, but we don't know if your body's going to react. But we're
Yeah.
getting closer. I know precision
Yeah,
medicine is
thankfully,
getting
we're getting
closer.
closer to precision medicine, which I mean
Mhm.
I mean, the thing is, it might seem unnecessary to some people, like, oh well, I just can keep testing until I find one. It's actually very, very helpful because it took several months actually
Yeah,
to
I
find my
mean,
biologic
yeah, to find your
because
combo.
to make sure a biologic really works, it takes about how many months. It depends on the
It depends
biologic,
on
I
the
think.
biologic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but about maybe 3
Some
months
people
to
notice
9 months,
immediately,
and almost immediately, yeah.
and some people take 3 months, and that's about really where they start cutting it off, but some do take longer, almost a year,
And so the thing is, when
but
you're trying to find a biologic that works for you, and you're being put on biologics trying to test for them, and they don't work, you're wasting a lot of time,
yeah,
which, your body is slowly getting worse.
you're paying for it.
Crohn's
Mhm.
doesn't stay the same all the time, it
No,
gets
it's
worse.
progressive.
And yeah, it's progressive. And so you have to be quick. And so
Mhm.
with
With
medicine,
medicine.
it will allow you, or the doctors, they're gonna take whatever blood sample. I'm just
Yeah,
gonna take
however
say
they're
that as
gonna
an
do it.
example. Obviously,
Right,
it's not gonna be
right,
that
depending
probably.
how they do
Yeah.
it.
But they're gonna be able to take it and say, okay, well, because the cell structure of Crohn's disease, blah blah blah, looks like this and this, we are going to assume that this biologic will
Right.
work the best for you.
Based on how your
Mhm.
data matches previous data that's been tested in research, they would like test Mason against other patients who are already in a database and who they've tracked to say the patients that have this type of this were treated with this and was successful.
And
So
so that's
that's
possibly saving a lot of time,
mhm,
because you're not waiting months to say, "Oh, I hope this one works,"
yeah,
because you're gonna be just saying, "I know this will work," you
right,
know?
which is
So,
great, which would be
yes,
very
we
helpful.
really need that.
And we have, and we are kind of just talking about this, but the next thing we have is people not understanding that you're tired and overwhelmed. And we're just kind of
Mhm.
talking about this with all the appointments and
Yeah,
because
driving down to the hospital, 1 hour forward with traffic, 1 hour back with traffic. Oh my
yeah,
god.
so like
There for
traffic,
3 hours to get your
yeah.
infusion, Benadryl. Oh,
Yeah, and I mean, these are with other like, in the past 3 weeks, Mason's had 4 appointments with radies, and it's a lot.
there are people who even go more.
We're able to cancel a couple appointments coming up
Yes,
because
thankfully,
his
they
doctor
canceled an
canceled it.
MRI.
Yeah,
So, the MRI,
yeah, the doctor
there's
canceled
a
it,
special
right.
name for it, but
It's MRCP, but
the
they
MRCP,
canceled
yes.
it for now, and so
For now,
they
yes.
wanna observe him a little bit more with more labs, and so that one's been shelved for the moment, and
Thankfully, we're able to cancel a
yeah.
little bit,
But
so.
there's always something, and I combo this with having to say no to things you really wanna say yes to, because a lot of times you don't have the amount of time that other people have to, on your spare time, you're trying to catch up on things you missed when you were at the hospital, when you
Yeah,
weren't feeling well,
because
and
when you get an infusion or you get an injection, sometimes those have side effects. It can give you a headache, it can make you feel tired,
right.
and it can not only does it take a long time to get to the hospital,
Mhm.
sometimes get the infusion because you have to sit in the waiting room, then drive back home. On top of that, the side effects of the biologic might knock you out
Yeah.
the rest of the day. And so if you have school that day, oh, it's gonna be really slow. And
Yeah.
so it's a
And
struggle, and then you have to catch up the next day.
if you're flaring during
If
all
you're
this
flaring,
too,
yeah,
then
then
you're
you're gonna have an
just
even worse
yeah.
time.
So, because I was talking to somebody about this, and she had mentioned how she had to miss an important family function because they had to turn around so she could go home because she suddenly had to use the restroom.
Mhm.
And then it really happens where sometimes you have plans and you have to suddenly, and people I think don't understand because without knowing, like I know watching Mason, 100% real. This is not a joke,
No.
and you don't always want to say no, I can't make it, or for me, one of the things I learned with him was one of the things that was difficult is working because I would need to be at an appointment to meet a client. And I couldn't leave him home. He would come with me because he didn't want to leave him unattended because he wasn't well. And so I at least wanted him with me. It was hard to leave sometimes because he's like, I have to use the bathroom really quick.
Mhm.
And I'd be like, oh no.
Oh, no, we
And
have to
it's
leave in
like,
5
yeah. And
minutes.
then you get on the road and he's like, I have to use the restroom again.
Like,
And you're
"Oh."
like, oh my gosh. And so it's really hard. And it's not like you want to be the person who can't go and attend things. You don't want to be the
Yes.
person who's late to things. That's another thing that feels unfair is it may go against the kind of person you are, and
Mhm.
it's not fun. It's not something
But
anybody,
you still gotta do it,
but it's part of it. And
It's
so, like,
necessary.
in speaking out today, like, I think when things were, like I said, we're not trying to complain. I'm hoping
No,
people are feeling like, yes, you get it.
you
You
understand, and if there's
understand.
something we're missing,
Yeah,
just tell us.
or if there's somebody listening who doesn't have this and is learning, this is
Mhm,
really take some of these to heart so you can be a good supporter and a good friend or family member to
mhm,
somebody with this disease. Something else. So, yeah, so I mentioned I had a note too, yeah, about the work and having to rush to find bathrooms. Sometimes you're just tired.
mhm.
Sometimes your joints are pain. Sometimes you have
Yes,
physical stomach pain that limits you. So,
abdominal pain
it's
and
hard.
yeah,
Like, it makes you grumpy. Like, I feel like if I'm
yeah.
not feeling well, I'm not in a great mood.
I don't wanna be doing
And so you're
things.
trying to be, It's tough.
I have a what appointment at
Mhm.
12 in the morning? Oh.
Yeah, I have another appointment,
I
like,
don't feel like doing that. I'm
yeah,
already tired, you know? And especially, like, when I was first diagnosed and came out of the hospital, I would sneeze and my back would go out, you know?
right.
And that was when I was on Remicade, and I had a bunch of joint pain, and, things weren't being treated because Remicade wasn't working for
Wasn't
me.
working, so they didn't realize.
And now I know I just said that, but Remicade might work for you. Like we said,
Right.
everyone's different.
Which is
Remicade
funny,
might work
again,
for you.
yeah,
Yeah,
and it does, it works for a lot of
it
p
works
like,
for
I don't know,
other
it was like
people. Yeah.
50% of the people, but yeah.
It was very stressful because
Mhm.
if I just sneeze, you know, then I can't walk, and you're going to the drive imagine you're driving to the store,
Yeah.
and you're in this position, and then you sneeze, you're like, "Oh, great."
Yeah, it's tough, and there's so much with it that I just think people don't truly understand, and the other thing I have here is dealing with an onslaught of opinions and topics forced on you, and these
Yeah,
are the kind of things where people love to tell
we love
you.
opinions.
Yeah, but they love to tell you how to treat your disease. People that have really their only experience is maybe watching an Entyvio commercial.
Maybe you want to, yeah.
Yeah, I know, like, watching a commercial, knowing a friend of a friend. Again, a lot of people don't talk about this, so they really don't know what the
This
person
person
goes through,
mhm,
but they sure love
to pretend
to
that they're
tell you.
your doctor.
And then so you get a lot of information that it's overwhelming because some people are saying, "Oh, I'm taking this, you should take this." And the one thing that we found because it can be overwhelming is to just like I have a Google Doc I keep.
Mhm,
It's like my and I make notes and it's like so that way if I want to ask the doctor or for anything, I have it saved.
yes.
But you're gonna it's tough because none of us were when Mason was diagnosed, like I didn't have a medical background.
Mhm.
I was a business major. I didn't, like the whole understanding biologics and understanding
Dr. Freezer.
insurance and it's like just basic stuff. But now it's like all of a sudden with these people putting these opinions and telling you all these things, you're kind of like forced to like Google everything and get all some and it's just like,
Mhm.
ugh, I have to become an expert in
You
everything.
have to become, like,
And it's like you
medical school, yeah.
and it's like and the one thing we always tell people is don't make changes based on what someone tells
No.
you. Talk to your
Talk to your doctor.
doctor
The doctor knows you the best.
because this
And if you don't
yeah,
like what the doctor is saying, look for a second opinion. Look
yeah,
for the second opinion that, the next best doctor or
right.
something.
That works, truly works. It might
Yeah,
not be what
truly
you want
works.
to hear,
No.
but I think that's just another hard thing is cycling through everything and trying to be polite when people are telling you how to do this and trying to put up with people also getting like frustrated with you like well it's your fault if you don't take the zinc like it's like
Oh,
well
wow.
we've already discussed it with this doctor and thank you I appreciate it so yeah so it's kind of hard sometimes
Yeah.
and you don't want to write people off because maybe something they did worked for them but or they heard a story that's just like
Mhm.
but if you've just
I
heard
saw it on MSN. I saw it on TikTok.
yeah
Zinc
like
helps treat Crohn's.
right, or you'll hear it's like, "Oh, I saw a new commercial and it looks like you guys have a cure." It's like, "No,
No.
no, and that one, no, he can't take, and no, that one is for" so
Remember
it's tough.
that one podcast we did? I don't remember. It was quite a while ago,
Mhm.
but there was that one news story or something that there was a cure,
Yeah,
and it
we
was just wording, but they
people
were trying to get like
right.
attention for it.
That was a good I'll have to see if I can find it and link it for you guys because that was a good way to use critical thinking skills like
Yes,
this.
critical thinking skills
Right,
from
your critical
college.
thinking
Mhm,
skills and really read and think about what they're saying. So, one thing we start off with was talking about the feeling the need to explain.
mhm.
For a lot of people, it's like they feel the need to explain, but at the same time, not explain. So, what we're trying to say is beyond some people like us, when people like we do explain because that's who we are. Some people don't want to talk about it
Yeah,
at all.
I'm comfortable talking about it, so
Right.
I will.
And some
But some people just it's not
they
their
don't.
thing. It's
Yeah, they're
kind of
not like that.
personal,
It
so
is. And it is.
don't push them.
And sometimes a lot of people don't know enough about it to feel like I don't want to start this conversation because, I'm not a medical expert. You may have the disease,
Mhm.
but
Just because you have the disease doesn't
it
mean
doesn't
you're
mean you
you're a
can
freaking doctor.
right, like, you can explain everything, and so I do wanna just I wanna just touch upon that again to say, I don't wanna make anybody feel like you have to become an expert and feel like you need to explain, and it's perfectly okay if you don't. We take a different approach. Obviously, we have a podcast. We like to talk about this, we're very open about it, and I'm happy there's a lot of people that are, but it's okay if you're not, and
Mhm. Yeah,
it's okay if you just wanna explain a little bit and then kinda just let it go,
yeah.
and,
Everyone's different. It's
but
okay.
it is frustrating because you're probably still gonna get a lot of opinions on that. But I had a note of people treating you like you're dumb, and that would be probably go in hand when, like, they give you the information. And so some people try to make you feel like they know this better. They're so smart,
Yeah, and they're
and
so
you're a
smart. Like,
disappointment.
thank you for telling me.
And so it's just like it's overwhelming the amount of things that we are dealing with. And so and I've been, like I said again, fortunate enough as a caregiver to witness what Mason's gone through, to hear the comments as a, a different set of ears and a different set of eyes. And I feel like it's very important for me to mention and talk about this because someone needs to stand up for the patients and, kind of like say, hey, back off. Like, be interested. Kindness and compassion is key, but let the patient speak. Let them explain
Mhm.
their own
Yes.
experience.
Let them
Don't
explain
tell
their experience.
them,
Yes, don't tell them,
right? Like, I know what you're going through because
ask.
so yes. And one of the things we've talked about is we know some people who, how do I say this, like who may not take the disease seriously.
Mhm.
They don't think. And so like I've told Mason, I said maybe a way to approach it is when we do see this person again is to ask them, so what do you know about Crohn's disease? Tell me. I'd like to
We want
hear,
to help you
and so
understand.
that way you can understand what's in their head before they're coming at you and
We're
making
telling
you feel defensive and like you're going to get frustrated.
because
So,
all that's gonna lead to is an argument, and who
right.
doesn't who loves arguments?
No.
No one.
So
Mhm.
my thought was, all right, so let the patient speak first. Let Mason say, I'm curious, what do you know about my disease? And sit
Mhm.
back and let them put it onto them to explain what they know without them feeling like they came at you, you rejected their idea,
Mhm.
and they're frustrated and you're defensive.
Oh boy.
Change that role around. And maybe that's a good idea for you if you feel like somebody doesn't really understand. Bring it up
Ask
with
them,
them.
"What do you know about it?"
Yeah, so, like, what do you know about this? And then you can proceed and that's again, if you're comfortable. Some
Yes,
people
if
you
you're
might.
comfortable, if you're not comfortable, totally
Right.
fine. Just
But I
ignore
think
them.
you and I are completely
Yeah.
like, "Hey, tell us."
Yes,
And then
tell us, go ahead.
we're happy to kind of correct you here, not based on the disease as a whole. I mean, there are
Mhm.
certain things we can talk about from a
Yes.
science standpoint, but
But
based
for
on
me
Mason's
because everyone's
experience.
different.
Right.
It's good to remember that.
So if this person is telling you what they know about Crohn's disease based on somebody they know, you can respect that and
Mhm.
say, "Okay, that's cool. So here's my experience with it." And maybe you can turn into a conversation instead of something that's less
Yeah,
confrontational and makes you
let's
feel
have an
attacked.
argument.
'Cause I think you feel it's like no one wants to feel attacked like
No.
they're saying. So it's like if this way you can turn into a conversation,
Yes,
maybe
just
you
have a
can.
proper conversation and no one's getting angry.
Right. And then you're really
Hopefully.
succeeding
Mhm.
and maybe teaching something. It's a teachable moment,
Yes.
which is
And maybe helping
really
the other person
important.
understand.
Yeah, and so I think that is the key in all of this, and again, that's probably another unwanted burden, learning how to
Mhm.
talk to people about
Yes.
this,
Oh, yes, learn how to
but
talk.
I feel like you're handed this title of Crohn's disease and then all these things that come with it, and it's just really about how you can manage and handle it. It may not
Yes.
be right, it may not be fair. Everything we try to talk about and validate, we're trying to help so that you have a better life with it and maybe don't feel so alone, and that's come to us with any questions, comments,
Please do.
anything about this, your experiences. We would
We
really
love
like
to
to
hear
hear
from you
it.
guys.
It would be nice to be able to have a little bit of feedback and make sure that we're addressing things that are helpful to you guys. So basically, it's been 5 years since your diagnosis.
Mhm.
And so we have like 5 years of experience,
Yes.
caregiver and patient. We have this experience going from in pediatrics.
Mhm.
Mason's still in pediatrics, but to a
Yep.
teen with it. So we've gone through
Gone through all the
different,
different little stages.
yeah, different stages with it from being a child to a teen and pretty soon into adult
Yep.
medicine
Sadly.
with this and leaving the pediatric.
Mhm.
Yeah, I know. I know. So anyways, so hopefully
Mhm.
that kind of may have helped you guys. I don't know if it felt like rambling
No,
or
no.
hopefully it didn't feel too negative. I hope some of you feel like you're seeing we get it. We all have our own challenges. Yours may not be the same things we've
Like
heard.
we said, Crohn's is different from everybody.
It is. It's
Not
different, and
everybody
your perspective is going to be different.
yes.
So
You
we
might
just
think, "Oh,
want
this
to.
disease is easy," or you might think, "This disease is the worst."
Yeah. Yeah, it's not a gr
It's not
it's
fun.
difficult, no, but we're here to help, we're here to listen, we're here to educate, and hopefully, I don't know how many people wanna listen to this who don't have IBD, but I really hope they do. I'm
Yes.
hoping there's a family or a friend, if you've been diagnosed, share this podcast with. I think it's just really important for them to hear the perspective and understand what they could do to
To help.
really be
To
just,
really
yeah,
help, yeah.
and make the patient make them feel better, feel loved,
Make them
feel
feel
cared about.
comfortable and,
That's what it's about.
not as lost, make them feel there's other people like this.
Right, and being understanding, I think would go a long way.
Mhm.
So, very important stuff. So, anyways, that's it for today. We have other stuff to get to also, but you guys are we
Yay.
never miss it. It's
Nope.
like it doesn't
Nope.
matter how much we have to do, like
Yeah.
priority.
Crohn's,
Right.
IBD
Yeah.
friends.
Well, 'cause
Yeah.
like today, we're like, okay, we have the 2 priorities, and that's, get our podcast filmed and
Get
get
to
your
college.
college work
Mhm.
completed. Then, hopefully we can fit the dessert and a fun dinner
Yeah.
in there to
That'd be
make for your
fun, but
dad.
is it necessary?
Yeah, I know. It's we just do what we can, but we do not
Yes.
wanna miss a podcast because I
No.
know it is important to have something you can rely on and know that every 2 weeks there's going to be somebody talking about
Yes.
this and being there for you guys. So,
We're gonna be hopefully helping someone, so
yeah, that is true. So with
Mhm.
that said, you guys can follow us. So in the meantime, you can catch up on what we're doing on our team IB Determined on Instagram. You
Mhm.
can follow us on there and also the Reggie Project. You can give that a follow. And you can listen to us on any podcast station like
Yep.
iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts,
And
Spotify.
and there's a link to more,
Yeah,
through Buzzsprout. Yeah.
through our Buzzsprout.
And
But
that's
yeah.
very helpful, but if you're only listening to this on a podcast station, I assume you already found one, so
Yeah.
but, there's always more links if you wanna listen to others, so
Yeah. And you can watch
yeah,
us
watch it
too.
on YouTube.
Yeah.
There's also YouTube podcasts, and I usually always say those are new, but,
But at this point, they're not
they're
really
kinda
new.
getting old,
It's just
so
it's there. It's one of
it's
the
there,
podcasts.
yeah. YouTube
Yeah.
podcasts are a thing, and you can listen to them.
But we film
Mm,
every one of these
yes.
podcasts and
And so, like, if you're on YouTube, you might as well just watch the videos.
yeah,
So, there's also the videos, and so you can listen and watch us,
yeah.
which I'm sure you would
I know.
wanna see
I
what
think
color shirts we're wearing today.
oh, but I always think,
Yes.
like, I will listen to podcasts, but then I also watch, like, when I'm working out or when I sometimes like to just
It's nice to have something to
it's
keep
nice
your
to have,
eyes
like, a
on.
face.
Yeah,
I like to see
face behind it.
the
It's not
face
just a
behind it.
voice,
Yeah.
there's actually a face to it, and it helps relate kind
Right.
of, I guess.
So I know we're
It helps.
different.
Yeah.
People are auditory, people are visual, it's different ways we learn, different ways we enjoy something. So hopefully we have it covered. You can watch us or you can listen either way,
And,
however you want to do
if
it.
you are on YouTube, I have to
Mhm.
do my little jingle. If you are on YouTube, make sure to like, subscribe, and if you want to be notified every time we post a new video, make sure to hit that bell icon and
Yes.
please leave comments because we love
Or just
reading your guys'
yeah,
comments. Yeah.
yeah, leave
Um,
comments.
here's some ideas on what we can comment on. Maybe how you found our channel,
Mhm.
what you relate with on our channel, if you like it, what we could do better. Do you like the background? Do you like our shirts? And let's see what you liked in today's episode.
Or would you
If
like
we
to see
missed anything,
on another
do you want to
episode?
see anything else on another episode? What
Yeah,
are you looking forward to?
right.
How long have you been here? Have you been with us since the beginning? That'd be cool. Yeah.
Yeah,
Are
like,
you
have you listened it's been a couple years now.
OG?
We're hitting about to hit 2 years, and it maybe even, like, send over if you've read anything that, you're, like, questioning that, things about IBD, you wanna send us over for us to look at and do some research for you and talk about that, do that too. I mean, I don't mind doing the research. I know you're more like right now, you're burnt out with English, but
English.
but I don't mind. It's like send over stuff. I don't mind looking into a researching if you have questions about a certain biologic, a certain JAK inhibitor,
I can answer questions on that.
let us know. And, hopefully, again, we always say this, we want to get guests on, but it's our responsibility to have a good guest experience. And I want to make sure we have good questions. We don't want to waste the guest
No,
time.
we're not gonna just waste our
Right.
time.
Like
So
I don't want to, so
we're
I
still
need
working
to,
that out.
yes, I'm the kind of person I like to be well prepared and well thought out. So we're not wasting anybody's time. We're getting the information we need, and that's important to you guys. So hopefully we'll have some guests on, and I'm really looking forward to that because I think that would be a lot of fun. We have a list of people we'd like to interview, and so
Yep.
we
We
have
have a
people
lot.
who've asked to be on the show
So they're
too.
waiting and we're still
Yeah,
trying to figure things out.
I
So
just we want to make sure we do it right.
yeah, we
That's
want to do it
more
right.
important than just yeah. That's more important to me
Yeah.
is having a good quality podcast for you
Yes.
guys. So all right, guys. With that said, have a great day,
Have a great
evening.
summer break if you're having a summer break.
Yeah.
Have fun summer school. Oh yeah, I'm sure that's fun.
Yeah. Not everyone's like you,
uh
Mason. You're lucky.
yeah, great.
You'll have to do some
Yeah,
right. Well, you chose. It's not like
I
you
did.
had to do this. So that's a good
Well,
thing. Is if
yeah.
you wanted to
Get
say,
it done. I mean, we had to get
yeah,
it's a nice time to get it done. It's better than doing it with everything else.
right in the
But at
regular
the same time,
semester.
it's like,
Yeah, get it,
so
but you're doing well.
yeah,
So
ready pushing through.
all right.
I'm
So
pushing
we're
through.
off
We got
to
this.
get more work done, and we will be back in 2 weeks
2 weeks. Yep.
to see you guys on the next
Next
episode.
episode.
Hi. Bye bye.
Bye. We hope you will stick around, tune in, and reach out to us with your own journeys. We are excited to give you an inside view of what it takes to be a caregiver and what it's like to be a patient.
And most of all, we hope you'll maybe be able to apply something you hear on here that might help you in your own life. Sometimes life changes, and it's all about how you handle the journey.